Hello and welcome to today's show. Today we'll be talking about if stress is what contributes to depression. Coming up on today's show, I'll be asking Meg and Hannah on their opinions on depression. I will also be talking to Katie, who has experienced depression, and we'll be talking about how she's got help and how she's had to deal with depression and who she's gone to for advice and for help. Megan and Hannah, who I interviewed, and they're going to be talking about what their opinions are to do with stress and if they think stress is what causes depression and if they know what the symptoms are.
Overworking.
Yeah.
Kind of like not being able to, being pushed to a point where you can't really take anymore.
Yeah.
And I think like symptoms would be like not sleeping properly, not being able to eat properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweating a lot.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been stressed?
Yeah, exam stress.
Yeah. Do you think depression is kind of like a step up from stress?
Yeah, it's when you've gone so stressed that you can't really function properly. You need to actually rely on medication to make you feel any better.
Yeah, do you think medication is a good kind of alternative?
Not really, because it just leads on to other things.
Yeah.
I think people can become too dependent on medication.
Yeah, so would you say therapy is kind of the best option?
Talking therapy,
yeah.
like fraud stuff, that sort of thing.
Okay, well, you can see I've just interviewed Megan and Hannah, and their overall response was that they don't feel that stress can contribute to depression because they have also felt stressed through homework, through assignments that they've had to do through college, and also they don't feel that that's led them to make that massive decision of going through depression and taking up their own lives. They feel that people that do have depression, they feel that medication's not a good alternative. For example, Hannah stated that she felt that people become addicted to it. So that was also the negatives to why they felt that medication wasn't the best alternative. Megan said a suggestion. She said that maybe therapy would be the best option because it would help people and it would help the person or the individual to actually explore themselves and actually suggest ways of them to help them instead of actually taking medication, which they don't know if that's actually going to work for them. Thought that therapy was the best alternative instead of medication. Here I have a video that's going to be talking about depression and what the actual symptoms are and what can actually happen to a certain individual if they do have depression.
But I noticed it when I was in middle school after being made fun of like day in and day out. And then the suicidal thoughts all started 10th grade, 9th grade, high school.
But you have a happy family and 5 sisters.
I do. My parents have been married for 25 years. I have 5 sisters. We're all biological. We go to church every Sunday. There's not any problems at all. It's just I feel like my depression is I don't have enough serotonin or something like that. I was born with it.
How did you know that you were depressed?
I wasn't smiling. I wasn't laughing. Everyone always asks why are you always so sad? Why aren't you happy? And I figured I didn't really know about it until my mom was telling me that my family has history of it. So then we took me to a counselor and they said that I had depression.
Tell me why you thought about taking your life.
One day I just realized that I wasn't having fun. Life wasn't, everyone always said life is fun, they're out doing stuff. I rather had just been dead. Because my family's really religious and I'd rather be in heaven being happy than living here. I felt like this was hell itself already.
So you formulated a plan to take your life. Tell me, what did you do?
I heard that if your car was old enough, if you did the hose, you hooked it up and you put it in your car, that would actually kill you. And my car was an old car, so I hooked up the hose, I used a whole roll of duct tape, put it in, started the car, and sat there for about a minute. And I just started crying because, the question of will I go to heaven? Because, what if hell is even worse than what I am right now? I don't know how I would deal with that. You have to be strong enough to deal with it. You can talk to other people. And I realized that maybe it's okay that I'm not strong enough to be here and I don't want to, and it's okay to get help.
If you were talking to a parent that had a son or daughter that was depressed, what would you say to them?
They need to talk to the kid and let them know that it's okay that they're feeling this. You can't make them feel like it's not normal, because it is. Like, so many people have depression problems, and it's okay to talk about it, and the parents need to go do research on it themselves, because if they don't have an understanding of what the kid is feeling like, they're not going to be sympathetic. They're not going to try to understand what they feel like.
Do you ever feel privileged that you were not a suicide statistic?
I feel like everything happens for a reason, and that I can share this so that other people, like if a parent's sitting there thinking right now, thinking that maybe their kid is suicidal, that right now they will go and talk to them so that maybe my pain can save someone else some pain too.
As you can see from this video, depression is a very horrible illness to be suffering from, especially for teenagers who are at a vulnerable state of mind, who are very self-conscious about themselves with appearances, look-wise. Depression can really make a massive change for them, which may also consider them of taking their lives. But here I have Katie, who's experienced depression and is going to be talking about how it's made her feel. Hello Katie, thank you so much for coming to the show. So tell us a bit about your experience with depression.
My experience with depression was hard and difficult, and I felt like useless and I couldn't really do anything, and I just didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, do you feel that depression was a kind of like shadow that was covering you? You couldn't really escape from it?
Yeah, my depression was mild, but I still felt like I had like a huge grey cloud hanging over me, and I didn't know what to do, and it was just really hard point in my life. Yeah,
do you feel that when you kind of went for help, do you feel there was many kind of ways to get help? Do you feel like you could go and easily talk to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I could speak to my doctor, and then he'd refer me to a therapist, and he could give me medication so I'd be able to get on with my life and get over there.
Did you go to any therapists to help you?
Yeah, I went to my local therapist who I got referred to, and he was very good and he helped me, and without him I don't think I'd have got through it. Yeah,
do you feel like other people usually I've heard that try kind of medication and stuff, do you feel that you didn't really want to try medication, you felt maybe therapy was a better option?
I wanted to try therapy first because I didn't want to take medication if I didn't need to, but I felt that I needed it to help me because it it was my hormones was the problem as well.
Yeah.
And I needed something to fix my hormones.
Yeah. Yeah. But like people say now in the public, it's not really like, it's kind of like a taboo subject. Do you feel like that should be right, that people should kind of like not speak about it?
No, I think that's the problem with all mental illnesses. It's so taboo and no one really talks about it, and I think it's just as bad as any other illness, for example, like cancer.
Exactly.
And I feel that a lot of mental illnesses would not be so bad if they were talked about. So if OCD was more talked about and accepted, people would be more willing to admit it and everything.
Yeah. Well, do you have any kind of like words of advice to anybody out there that might be dealing with depression? Of like
get help and like keep strong and just just go and see a doctor and they'll refer you to someone.
Okay, well thank you ever so much, Katie, for coming to the show. I know it's a hard topic to talk about. Yeah. And this is a life experience from Katie, and hopefully it's made people change their minds on how they feel about depression.
I knew this kid named Alberto, funny style cat, and his girl looked like a turtle. Not Lisa Turtle, just a turtle. Hated in class, never came late and never true. And his family was picture perfect, his older sister was prom queen. His dad a decorated vet for the Vietnam team. He kept under his bed, and instead of letting it out, he just got a girlfriend instead. She knew something was funny, she could tell by his behavior. Or the way he flamboyantly shook his hand when he would wave to her. She thought nothing of it and just shoved it in the closet. Until the day the word dripped out like leaky faucet. Alberta was homosexual, I ain't have nothing against it. The little Ronnie Johnson and all his football player friends did. They always pick a nag, call him back and such, and couldn't wait to get the gym so they could really bust his nuts. The gym teacher never cared, he just joined in on the action. Make silly gestures and cry and ask God why. Like, God, why in the fuck I had to be born this way? God would reply, son, you gotta show him you're more than gay. You gotta show him you're more than gay. See, he had dreams to be a track star until the one April night them gay jokes went way too far. Ronnie begged for his forgiveness and invited him to a party, cause his parents went away and left him plenty of Bacardi. Alberto kindly accepted, he was finally accepted, except it was all deception and left him all unprotected. It was a plan Ronnie had scammed to get him in the right place, verbally degrade him and rearrange his pretty face. The plan would go swiftly, they started calling him sissy. One punch turned into 50, they beat him till he was dizzy. Now Alberto lie in the record she found, and she would stay up late at night reciting songs to herself under pale moonlight, writing wrongs that her pops made. Promised her mom she would never go the same route. Turns out Carrie Ann had other plans. Her and her man Roddy, most popular, second best to nobody. Homecoming queen versus ugly duckling, and the story ends the same way. Okay, Ronnie's parents went away for a couple of days and told him no drinking. What the fuck was they thinking? Maria was oblivious that her boyfriend had already been invited. So when Carrie Ann asked, she got all excited.
This has made people change their minds on the topic of depression, and hopefully this has made people think that it's better late than sorry to get sorted about depression. Depression is something that people shouldn't be able to deal with, and they should be able to deal with it with the professional help that's out there. Thank you and good night.
His parents went away and left him plenty of Bacardi. Alberto kindly accepted, he was finally accepted, except it was all deception and left him all unprotected. It was a plan Ronnie had scammed to get him in the right place, verbally degrade him and rearrange his pretty face. The plan would go swiftly, they started calling him sissy. One punch turned into 50, they beat him till he was
First, I'm joined from Glasgow by the leader of the SNP, Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond, you said you were hoping for a referendum.
Good evening, Jeremy.
Good evening, yes. Very nice of you, very polite.
Do I sometimes set out to wrong-foot people? Yes. And the reason for that, I think, can be justified.
Well, you know what the accusation is. They say you're a poodle.
Yeah, of course. I just try to ask the questions that the average reasonably intelligent viewer would like to see asked. And by and large, I think you should ask it straight and direct.
The truth of the matter is that Mr. Marriott was not suspended.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
I did not overrule Derek Lewis.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
I took advice.
And if you ask the question, you should get an answer.
On what I could or could not do.
Did you threaten to overrule him, Mr. Howard?
Or you should persist with it long enough that the average reasonably intelligent viewer would understand that an answer has not been given.
I did not overrule Derek Lewis.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
Mr. Marriott was not suspended.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
There is nothing more maddening, and I think it's for not just for me as an interviewer, but for the viewer, than to have someone not answering a question.
Did you threaten to overrule him? £25 million for a fleet of how many buses?
No, for the buses, that's a different matter, and that's a different funding
How
proposition.
many?
Let me invite you to speculate how much.
No. I invite you to speculate. In fact, more than speculate. Tell us how much it would cost.
Let me tell you this: they would cost no more and no less than the mayor's own manifesto commitment to produce another 500 hybrid buses, which are going to ply the streets.
Which is what?
And which will be bought, of course, as the mayor knows full well, not by Transport Run, but they will be bought by the bus.
Give us a figure.
And I think when you look at the prospect that this offers,
what is the figure?
Well, the average cost of a bendy bus is about £200,000. I envisage it being the cost over time being substantially amortised to be easily bearable under the Transport Budget Fund.
Sorry, am I not making myself clear? What we want to know is how much you propose to spend on this new fleet of Route Master buses.
No more,
a figure,
no less.
A figure.
The cost of the mayor's.
I despair.
500.
The same grave.
Okay, well, I'm terribly sorry to both of you. Great apologies. It really is a complete shambles, this place tonight.
I really profoundly believe that the healthy democracy is the well-informed democracy. And that's how I justify what we do.
Does the fact that George Bush and you are both Christians make it easier for you to view these conflicts in terms of good and evil?
I don't think so, no. I think that whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, you can try and perceive what is good and what is evil.
You don't pray together, for example?
No, we don't pray together, Jeremy, no.
And now on the theory that while some people are interested in the markets, everyone's interested in the weather. Here it is, shorn of the usual folksy nonsense about clouds bubbling up and advice about wearing woolly socks. Eastern parts will mainly avoid the rain except for those that don't. Western areas will be cloudy with rain except in those places that don't have rain. Temperature. And finally, by popular demand, the second Newsnight weather forecast. Take an umbrella with you tomorrow. To tomorrow's weather forecast. It's a veritable smorgasbord. Sun, rain, thunder, hail, snow, cold, winds. Almost worth going to work. The forecast, it's April. What do you expect?
Sorry.
It's a quite straight yes or no.
Question and I would give you an answer.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
That business of asking questions is, I think, our raison d'etre.
Is there not an American responsibility, having invaded a country, dismantled all the apparatus of government, to ensure that the citizens of that country are not murdered? Election.
And I'll hypothecate on success, Jeremy. So let's hypothecate on us in government.
I'm just trying to find, so the Scottish people are surely entitled to know what would happen if they didn't agree with you on the question of independence.
Then I'll say again, we accept the result. The only circumstance in which you could have another referendum would be if you got a mandate at a subsequent general election. But my view is that you ask the constitutional question once in a generation.
So there would be an undertaking given that if it was defeated in this first outing in 2010 or whenever, it wouldn't come back for a generation.
No, I've given you my view. I mean, I write the current manifesto of the Scottish National Party, for which I'm the leader, and which I want to be.
What's the moral thing to do?
I've already given you my view, but you're asking me now to write a manifesto.
No, you've described to us what happened in the past. I'm asking you what should happen in the future.
No,
Will you give an undertaking? It won't come back for 20 years.
Jeremy, you haven't been listening. I said I view it as once in a generation thing. What I'm now saying to you is, look, I write the manifesto for this coming election. I cannot commit the SNP to a subsequent manifesto in a subsequent election. Don't be daft.
Well, at the risk of appearing daft even to you...
Issues of tax, of crime, of asylum, and of keeping the pound.
What's it like fighting a campaign you know you're going to lose?
Crime against the rules of war.
Mr. Regev, you have used the crucial word there twice. If. You don't know, and I don't know whether that is... No, you don't.
No, we do. Our initial reporting...
No, hang on. Someone has told you, and somebody has told the UN, and they state they don't know whether there was anyone like acting as you say. If is the key word here. You would therefore presumably support, would you, an independent inquiry into precisely how this tragedy occurred?
First of all, we're conducting our own inquiry, and the information we're receiving is very clear.
An independent
Can
inquiry.
I also tell you...
That's all from Newsnight tonight. Martha's being punished for some offence in a previous life by presenting tomorrow's programme. In the meantime, it's all available again on the website, along with our editor's pathetic pleas for you to send some of us your old bits of home movie and the like, so we can become the BBC's version of Animals Do the Funniest Things.